Welcome to Clear Vision Wednesday, everybody. I'm Claudia Mühlenweg. I'm the founder of the Natural Clear Vision Institute. And every Wednesday at noon Pacific, I go live to tell you all kinds of things you can do to improve your vision naturally, to deal with many different vision conditions. And today we will talk about a topic we haven't really covered yet. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe, you click the little bell icon. It really helps me to bring on awesome guests like we have today to help me build this channel, provide more content. So please subscribe and tell all your friends about it. So my guest today, I will bring her on right now, is Jane Hogan. Welcome, Jane.
Hey, Claudia, nice to see you. You're one of my favorite people. I love your community. I love everything that you do. So thank you so much for having me on as a guest today.
You are so welcome. And the topic we talk about is pain, right? And obviously, eye pain is one of the kinds of pains. And I know you were just like me, you had a totally different career before you became a functional medicine certified health coach. You had to tell us a little bit about how did you get to do this work now and what changed in your life?
Well, I was an engineer, but now I call myself the wellness engineer. So I was a structural engineer for 30 years. And my little joke is that my structure started to fail. So my personal body structure started to fail with chronic pain. It was later diagnosed as rheumatoid arthritis. And because I'm an engineer, I really kind of looked at this as a system, like a problem to solve from a system perspective. And I started I didn't initially, I was just sad and thought my life is over. But then I really kind of dove into how can I do something about this pain. I actually had a little download at my worst case where I heard a voice that said, you're going to figure this out and you're going to teach other people. So ever since then, I knew that I would figure it out and I would teach other people. But I spent a couple of years experimenting on myself, trying all kinds of things. But I went the holistic route right from the start. I was doing food, anti-inflammatory diets and supplements and working with a naturopath and all of these things. And those things helped. But it wasn't until I got into the mind body connection that I really finally reversed it and realized actually the mind body connection, the nervous system, it's just foundational. It's foundational. So most people think that pain is something to cover up and hide, but actually pain is there to awaken you to that there's alert you that there's a problem, that your brain and nervous system think there's something that needs protection. And so we need to, I figured out what that was, and it actually went way back to childhood. So that's the beginning of my story.
Well, we will go a little bit more deeper into this, but it's interesting. It's so similar to vision, right? Because blurry vision also tells us a story about what's happening. And just like you said, pain. So, pain, blurry vision, those are all messages that something has to change. And just like for blurry vision, most people just get a pair of glasses and
Mhm.
or contacts, and then that just covers it up instead of looking like, hey, what is happening? So tell us a little bit about you mentioned the nervous system, which is something I'm really fond of as well. Tell us a little bit about how you're using the nervous system in your work. Or is that jumping ahead of the gun? I'm just wondering.
Well, I can talk about that, but I actually want to talk about how I had my own vision improvement story even before this pain came along. I wore contact lenses for years. Guess when it started? In university when I was stressed, right?
Huh?
And so I started wearing contact lenses, and I must have been wearing lenses for about 20 years. And I had an eye infection, and I couldn't wear my contact lenses, and I kept forgetting my glasses because I wasn't used to wearing them. And I just started not wearing them, and my vision improved. And eventually, like, it even improved when I went back to the optometrist. So I haven't worn anything for distance since. Now, as I've been getting older, I do tend to need more for close up, but I need to listen to Claudia and not rely on those glasses so much. So I part of the reason why I'm saying this is that I knew that the body could heal. I really had this belief that it can. We just need to give it the right environment to heal. And so really that's all I teach is how to give the body the right environment so that it can do its healing work naturally. And that involves the nervous system.
Right. You touched on stress, which is also part of my story, how when my stress levels got so high, my vision got blurry and the story of my glasses. So interesting. So you just didn't wear any, you were probably not super highly myopic, to the level where you could function without them, but just giving your brain and your body and everything the right environment. You were probably also in the mindset because I want to talk a little bit about emotional states too, and maybe we're jumping around a little bit. But because I don't know, tell us a little bit what you felt, like what kind of emotions are connected to vision problems and even pain. Like and is there a difference? Is there a difference between emotions related to vision problems? Because for me, it was very emotional with blurry vision, and the stress levels just amplified all of that. And of course, he wanted to kind of sweep it under the rug. So have you found any particular emotions with pain or eye issues that you've worked in your work?
Mhm. Well, what I would say, Claudia, is there's often emotional issues because the emotional issues create the stress, which then leads to the nervous system being dysregulated, which puts the body in protection, which then leads to things not working so well, or the body turning on um, pain, for example. Um, so what I've seen in some of the now I'm not an expert in eye in vision like
I
you.
know that. I know that. I'm
Yeah.
just wondering if you had any insights on that.
Well, I think it makes a whole lot of sense that, if we are having problems with vision, then it's probably something we don't want to be seeing. It's kind of like and our language tells us a lot. Like I think about pain, often shoulder pain. It's like people, I got the weight of the world on my shoulders. Just think about that language, right?
Mhm.
Or what a pain in the ass. Oh, that's someone who's probably got some hip pain, right? So our language gives us a little clue about the connections our brain makes between somewhere physical and problems in our life. So what I see a lot, and you may see this too, people who have had a nervous system that has become dysregulated or often in that the sympathetic state versus the parasympathetic state. So the sympathetic is the fight, flight, fear. The parasympathetic is the rest, digest, repair state. That should be our normal state, but most of us are highly stressed, and so we're in this sympathetic state. And when that happens, things begin to break down and not work so well. And then when things don't work so well, what happens? We have fear about that. Your eyes stop working so well, you have fear about that. You get pain, you have fear about that. You get some other illness, you have fear about that. Then our brain, because it's so good at learning, it learns, oh, we got pain, or sorry, we got fear. I better turn on some more protection in the way of pain, or turn on whatever it is, like make the eyesight worse because that's the pathway that's been created in our brain. And then we have more fear, and then that creates more of the symptom. Okay, so let's just call it the symptom. For my people, it's pain. For your people, it could be vision. More fear, and then we get stuck in this cycle of fear, symptom, fear, symptom, fear, symptom, and it can get worse. And then people may notice that it's not as bad when they're feeling relaxed, when they're away on vacation, or they're not feeling as stressed. Maybe they notice their vision improves a little bit. But we were talking about the emotions. And so I kind of think sometimes to go along with that, Claudia, it's also people think it's their personality, but it's actually behavioral adaptations that someone with a dysregulated nervous system will create to help protect themselves. So this might be long before those physical symptoms show up. And it can be things like, now let me know if you see this in your people: perfectionism,
Oh yeah.
yeah. People pleasing,
Hmm.
hypervigilance, really paying attention. I think when she looked at me like that, I don't think she liked what I said, that kind of thing. Hyper independence, I'll do it myself. I don't need help. The inability to say no, just going along with things. Anyone else notice those symptoms in themselves? So you're saying you notice it in people with eye problems. I notice it in people with chronic pain. I interviewed for my podcast, Wellness by Design, I interviewed Naisha Winters recently. Actually, the podcast just came out today on a metabolic approach to cancer. And she said she sees the same types of behavioral adaptations in people with cancer. But it's all comes back to the same thing. It's a nervous system that doesn't feel safe. And so it's turning on protection. It can start with behaviors of protection, and then we can get the physical symptoms.
That makes so much sense. So, I have a quick story about pain. I had back pain since I can remember. I was probably in my 20s or 2021. And then the doctor said, you have scoliosis. And I got all these, like, stretch beds, like all kinds of things, never did surgery. But it was kind of on and off, like all the time. I had, like, I was young, I was helping my mom in the garden. I was like, oh, my back hurts. It was like this constant thing. And I started yoga and Pilates, and like something helped, but then it didn't help. And I always, at some point, I connect the dots with a book by Sarno, like because I
Yes.
was an angry person, and farsightedness, being farsighted, is there's more connection to being in the past and being angry. And so I was like, oh my God, I finally that this all made sense. And when I then I didn't even know about the nervous system back then, really. I just started with the emotions because I could understand that. That was an easier language for me to understand because I don't know, relaxation, like what does that even mean? And so then I kind of connected, like noticed my emotions. And of course my back hurt again. I had planned to do something and I couldn't do it and I was angry again. And then I realized, okay, I have to accept this to a certain level. And I'm curious, you talked about your beginnings when you saw the natural path and all these things. Like when did you notice, or what were your emotions, or when did you notice that the physical treatments are nice, right? I got acupuncture, I got all these treatments, and they were nice, but they didn't really move the needle for me at all. Like it's like, yeah, it wasn't bad, it wasn't hurting me, but it wasn't like, oh, I got 5 acupuncture treatments. But yeah, I'm fine. My back is great again. So, and I don't want to bash acupuncture. I love acupuncture, but my point is like, unless I address that emotional level, the feeling level, the body level, I did not actually see changes. So tell us a little bit about how you discovered these things after going to these doctors and like you developed a whole blueprint around this, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, what are your steps that you?
Yeah. So what I saw, Claudia, is that these things did help, and my pain was going down, but I would still have flares a lot. I would like,
Exactly.
and that's what people often call them with rheumatoid arthritis. It's pain. We call it pain flares. It'll be fine, and then out of nowhere, it seems to come again, or the weather changes and that kind of thing. And I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. um there's no reason why this should keep happening. And I'd had this really stressful year leading up to the start of the pain. My mother had died suddenly. I was the executor, so I knew that stress had to be part of it. Yet when I finished up with dealing with all that, the pain didn't go away. So I was like, I have to start looking a little bit deeper. And I really had to go back to childhood. And uh, so I didn't have any major trauma. In my research, I found that there was a big connection between trauma, childhood trauma, and autoimmune conditions, childhood trauma, and pain or illness in adult life. I don't know if there's the connection with eyesight as well.
Oh yeah, huge.
Okay. All right. Makes sense, right? Makes sense. Makes total sense to me. It's just the body's doing exactly what it should do.
Right.
So I realized that I had to like take that into account. Now, I seemed very confident on the outside. I was an engineer. I had done all the things. My perfectionist tendencies meant that I was successful in my work. Yet I never felt good enough. I always was very, very self-critical. And so it's like, where did this come from? And I realized I had an older brother that had teased me until I stuttered, and then he would tease me for stuttering, and then I would cry and he would tease me for crying. And I did have a lot of resentment still, like towards him for that. And I realized I had to do some forgiveness. I think when my mother died, it all kind of flared up again because, you know, the family was all all
Right.
together. And so I realized I had to, like, I couldn't just keep blaming and resenting him for this. I had to forgive him, like, not for him, but for me. And so I had to do a lot of work around that. And that's actually one of the steps in my blueprint. So you asked about the blueprint. So I started like, okay, all of these different things I had learned and all these different modalities, I put it together in a pathway that was not necessarily the exact pathway I did because I was a bit all over the place, but it's what I wished I had had. And so I call it the design blueprint because as an engineer, I love, you know, using the engineering terms. But the word design is an acronym for the 6 steps. So the first one is desire, then explore, surrender, integrate, generate, navigate, the 6 steps. And in each step, there's 2 habits. So in the surrender step, which is actually a little bit further on, one of the things there is forgive and release. It's critical really for anyone. We've all had things happen to us, or we've done things that we've regretted, and we need to forgive ourselves, forgive the other people for that. So yeah, Diane said, yeah, forgiveness is important for better health. And it is so true. But starting right at the beginning, the desire, um, you know, one of the first things is just create calm, however that is for you. It might be just sitting down and noticing the breath. It might be a meditation practice, but I'm not telling people they have to meditate right away because that might, you know, turn people off. The key thing is just having a practice where you can just be mindful in the moment, where you're not worrying about the past or the future, just being in the moment. And then part of that, the second habit on that first step is vision. Amplify your vision. So creating a vision of your healed self doing something you would love to do and really feeling it. Sometimes I'll even say, find a song that goes with it. I'm thinking for your people might be, I can see clearly
Right.
now.
Yeah.
Right. So it could be something like that. But yeah, I love having this right in the beginning because I do believe there's a whole lot of science around this. We know that athletes have used it for years. If we create a vision of what we want, our brain will come on board to support that and help us create that. We could get into the, you know, the quantum physics about that too, but that's a whole different story. But it really does work.
So that's the D in desire. And I absolutely do that same with my, in my natural key vision method. We definitely start with like, what's your future self vision? And
Yeah.
it's interesting. I don't know how for how it is when you have that severe pain. For me, like, I think sometimes I have to change the order also because not everybody is ready to have that vision. But when you dive a little deeper beyond the inconvenience or things, and you really, like what you said, connect with the feelings versus, you know, you an engineer. My dad was an engineer. I definitely have this kind of logical thinking as well a lot. And when we just think about it, it's not the same as if we really feel it. And I love your suggestion of music or maybe even smells, but surrounding yourself, putting yourself in a kind of in a fertile soil, right? To kind of grow that vision. And even if you don't have all the bits and pieces together. So that's step one is desire. And then can you quickly walk us through the other steps? And then I think you promised us a little short technique that we can all do together. So I would love to see that too.
Sure. So just really quickly, over like the 30,000 foot view. So the explore step is about really about retraining our mind. So I use some different tools in there to help because most people who have chronic pain, they do have that self-critical voice. And so we're working on using brain retraining in there through repetition. Actually, all of it is repetition because that's how our brain learns new patterns is through repetition, right? That's how we learn anything is through repetition. So there's that in the explore step. Desire, explore, surrender. I talked about is forgiveness, letting go, and then desire, explore, surrender, integrate is where we really start pulling some things into more like physical. So things like movement and food, right? Well, actually, I don't even start with food. I start with eating in a calm way.
Mm.
Because most people rush through their food and then they're not going to feel calm, so they're not going to get the nutrients out of whatever they are eating. We also have in there getting like nature, getting outdoors and nature, and prioritizing sleep. We have a society, a sleep deprived society, so I've got a lot of different strategies there in how to, and habits. Really, I give people the habits. Here's the habits to create that. And let me see what else is in there. There's the playing and creating. As I believe, as human beings, we're here to be creative, and a lot of people have been ignoring that, especially if they've had pain for a while, or they're so focused on their health that they put everything else aside. So making time to be playful and be creative. And then the very last one is about learning, growing, and expanding. So again, we are meant to learn. We're not meant to kind of stagnate. I think it's just, again, that's a soul calling. And so what are some things that you're interested in that maybe you've been putting aside and making time for that? So it seems funny to think, what does that got to do with dealing with pain? It's really about letting our soul express in a loving way, because the fact that someone has pain or some other health conditions is really denying part of ourselves, that because we are completely love and meant to express love. And so it's really like returning to love again.
So there was a question in the chat, that G and the N. So the G was the generate. I think that's why you talked about
Yeah.
being creative, like, maybe, right? Is that the one
And
that,
then, yeah,
yeah,
generate. And then navigate is and also in the navigate, I kind of see this as a cycle.
right.
So as people go through the cycle, and whatever that desire was in the beginning, they've probably come through and now met that. So now, like, what else? How much better can it get? What's the next desire you have? And then kind of go through it again for this new desire. So
So
it's
it's like a
really,
flywheel, right? It's like once you have gone the
yeah,
first 6 steps, now you navigate, now you can be building bigger desires. You can explore. Yeah, so that makes 100% sense.
yeah.
And it's so interesting how similar that is to vision, in so many aspects, right? When we connect to these different layers, like, because vision is also like our eyes actually drive our like dopamine, like where are we moving our body? So it's almost like when you give up things, like with cataracts, there's a lot of times no joy in life. There's a dark
Right.
future. So I see a connection to the pain. Or glaucoma is all about like unforgiveness and not letting go. And so I see a lot of this holding on to like all these things connected to the pain. So it's interesting. So to me, as you are talking, it's really that pain is very similar to blurry vision or other symptoms in a way. Like they show up, they want to tell us something, and instead of just swashing it or squashing it with glasses or painkillers, we have to really address it. Now, one question I always get, and I don't know if you get that too, I always get this: what supplements should I take? What is your response to that?
I say supplements have their place,
Mhm.
but it doesn't matter how many, like, if you see supplements as the thing that's going to fix me, that's the wrong approach, because it's not really dealing with the root cause. The root cause is, on some level, my body doesn't feel safe. And so we need to restore that feeling of safety. And so that's what I would say. That it's like, it's not that I'm against supplements, but that's just not where I think people need to focus on. I was there, I get it. It's like, okay, if I can just find, like, take enough turmeric, I'll get rid of this pain.
Right, turmeric, the infamous, yeah. So I agree. I get that question a lot too. And I always say they can be helpful, especially if you advance. They can supplement,
Yeah.
if we don't work on that mind-body connection and the habits and the nervous system regulation.
Mhm.
The supplements won't do anything. I think it's our human innate nature to
Yeah.
kind of like that idea if there's only this one thing. So I always, I do take supplements, I go on and off certain supplements, and, so I'm not saying, and I definitely do them, but I don't take the same stuff all over. And I don't think that's the only, like I use them in a specific protocol, working with a health practitioner on whatever it is I need to work on, right? So,
Yeah.
but I don't always, I just want to optimize. It's almost that flywheel of going for like the 100th time, and now we kind of discovering some other things that we could improve. So, 100% agree. Yeah, so do you
Can I
want
ask
to
you
guide it?
something? Oh,
Yes, yes, of course, please.
I mean, I bet you get this a lot that, well, but the optometrist told me I have a blah, blah, blah. And so that there's a physical reason for
Yeah.
the eye pain. And I get the same thing. Well, I had an MRI and my doctor told me I've got a bulge disc and that's why I've got the pain. But what we're learning, and I can't speak to the eye stuff like you, but what I know is from a whole lot of research, the general population, I think it's something like 70, they took like 1,000 people with no pain, and 73% of them had disc or abnormalities with no pain. And the same thing goes with knees surgery, like, or knees, shoulders, all kinds of things. Arthritis, even. The general population has arthritis, but not everybody has pain. So, so just because you've been told something like that doesn't mean that there's a physical reason for your pain.
I 100% agree. That was also my epiphany back then when I read that book by Sano, because he said something, and that was from the 80s.
Yeah.
That was like, I was like, he said the same thing. There's so many people with like perfect spines, and they have all this crazy pain, and other people where you think, oh my God, they must be falling apart in pain. They have nothing. So those things are already exact. It's so interesting because it's 100% true. Yes, I love that. I love that connection. So if we don't really look at those deeper things, whatever it was in childhood, later in life, that caused that tremendous not feeling safe is really what it boils down to. Because then, just like the body creates pain, the eyes don't want to see because the brain is just really trying to protect us. So you said something earlier that it's really important to be consistent, right? So it's not like,
Yes.
doing this stuff once in a while. So can you tell us, or can you maybe share a little bit something that you teach people? I know you walked us through some examples, but is there something we could do together, or is there some tools? And obviously, you have your new book out, or your first, I think it's your first book.
Yeah.
Congratulations, which launched this week, and I'm loving the book. It's a fantastic book, and I know you have some special things that you're offering this week. If you're watching live on July 23rd on YouTube here, then maybe we talk about that first, and then you give us an example of how does that sound? So tell us a little bit about the book called Pain Free on Purpose, it's such a great title to me.
Well, it just popped into my head one day and I was like, oh my goodness, that is so perfect because, excuse me, pain led me to my purpose, but also like on purpose is so intentional. And that's really how people can teach their body to leave pain behind, is being on purpose, being intentional. So the subtitle is use your mind to heal your body and get your life back. It's sort of like your mind and your nervous system, but by having these habits. And so, yeah, well, I'll talk about the habits in a minute because you wanted to talk about the bonuses that people get this week. So I'll talk about that. Oh, so when you buy the book this week, I have 5 incredible bonuses. So first of all, there's an invitation to a challenge that I'm doing next week called a Pain to Peace Challenge. So it's a 3-day plus a bonus day challenge starting on July 29th. And then I'm also giving you I call it a heart work, not homework, but a heart work companion guidebook to go with the Pain Free on Purpose book. Because I've got heart work actually at the end of some of the chapters. And so it's a companion to help you deepen your understanding of those. And then I got a great video lesson on breaking that pain fear cycle that we were talking about. Now, I talk about pain and fear, but it could also be whatever physical ailment and fear. So it's
Oh, we just had somebody on YouTube saying my blur is tied to fear, not anger. I heard you can't be in fear and be creative at the same time. So being connected to your desire makes sense. So Nancy said that on YouTube. So yeah, it doesn't, we can all, fear is actually often connected to nearsightedness. So whatever it is, so you're talking about the fear, uh,
pain fear cycle. So
okay, so
breaking
it could
that
be fear,
cycle.
blurry vision, whatever, anger. It could be, right? So it could be, okay.
Yep. And then I've got a guided meditation. I'm talking quickly now, but people say I have a great guided meditation voice. So I got a guided meditation called I'm Safe in My Body. So remember, what we've got to teach our body is safety. So you get that, can keep that forever. And then also I'm doing a masterclass, your brain and pain masterclass on August 5th. So that's 5 bonuses when people buy the book this week that I'm so excited to share with people.
Yeah, it's an amazing book. I absolutely love it. Let me see if there's any questions on YouTube. So Fairchild says, I know my eye supplements work, what an improvement. We're not saying that supplements can't help you, but if you don't address the other reasons behind it. And it's like also going without glasses. You said you walked around without contacts, which improved your vision to a little degree, and I've definitely recommend that. But usually that alone, or people just do eye exercises. That none of these things are bad, and they might even get you some improvement, but they will not fully resolve the issue. So that's basically what we're saying. We're not saying that supplements are bad and you should never take any, because I definitely take some too.
I
So
do too.
why don't you give us a little bit of a taste of, I think you said you had something that you could lead us through together right now. Is that,
Yeah.
yeah?
How much time do we have, Claudia?
Oh, we have about more like 10 more minutes or so.
Okay. All right. So what I'd like to do is lead you through a little guided experience where you can get the feel for a brain retraining. So I'm just trying to think for people with a vision problem, whether it's a vision problem or maybe it's a pain or maybe it's an emotional issue, whatever this thing is that you're dealing with now, um, just give it a rating out of 10 on how much it's bothering you. Or maybe with vision, maybe it's like notice your vision and how it is now. And I'm not even sure if this is going to work for vision, but I think it will.
Oh, I'm sure it will. But so I would recommend everybody, if you wear glasses, yeah, we don't have to look at anything right now. Take
Okay.
your glasses off, or if you have contacts, it's not as easy. So
Yeah.
take your glasses off. So giving a rating, or maybe it's the pain in the eyes or the head. So give it a rating in terms of how intense it is, right? 1 is like barely there, and 10 is like,
Worse.
really, like I can't see anything. Like, but
Yeah.
that's what people always say. I don't like that. But you get my point. It's like it feels like
Yeah.
everything is blurry. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Okay. So we do that. So then I just invite you to relax wherever you are. So you could be sitting or you could be lying down, and just let your hands relax either at your sides or on your lap, palms up, palms down, whatever is most comfortable for you. And then gently close down those beautiful eyes of yours. And then just begin to notice the support that's beneath you. Notice that you are fully supported. So whether you're sitting or lying down, that support beneath you is completely supporting you. You don't even have to think about it. And then begin to notice your breath. Notice the air moving in as you inhale, and then out on the exhale. And as you're breathing, notice that there's always air for you. You're fully supported by the air around you as you breathe. And while you continue breathing and feel fully supported, bring to mind a activity that you would love to do that you are restricted in now, or that you can't do now, related to this issue that we talked about before. So something you would love to do that you can't do now. Just picture yourself doing that thing. And notice where you are doing this thing. Are you indoors or are you outdoors? Are there people around you or are you alone? Notice the colors that you see around you. Notice any objects. Notice the sounds. What do you hear? Are there sounds of nature? Are there people talking? Is there any music? What do you hear? And notice what you feel. Do you feel any sensations of warmth or cold? Feel your feet or your body touching whatever surface you're on. Do you feel any breeze? Your clothing touching your skin in this activity that you'd love to do, that you're doing in your mind right now? Notice if you can get any scents. You smell anything. And it might be nothing, and that's okay. Whatever it is, it is. And then notice that in doing this thing that you'd love to do, there's an emotion. What is the word of that emotion? Is it joy, playfulness, excitement, peace, exuberance, exhilaration, or your own word? What is the word for that emotion? See if you can settle on just one word. And then notice that that emotion has a feeling in your body. So scanning down below your head, notice where you're feeling this emotion in your body. Is it something in your throat? Going down your chest? Is it in your heart? Is it lower down in your upper belly or lower belly? And if you're not sure, we'll just go right to the heart. And this feeling that you're feeling, wherever it is, wherever it's strongest for you or in your heart, imagine now as you inhale that you're blowing up. It's almost like a balloon, that you're making this feeling bigger. So with every inhale, this feeling gets bigger. Just let it double in size and let it double in size again and let it double in size again. Maybe even bigger than your body now. This beautiful feeling that you're feeling. You can let it get so big that it fills up the room that you're in. And just notice how good that feels. And now imagine you pull this feeling back, 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 back to the place where you first felt it in your body, and you tuck it away like a tiny dot of light. And this feeling is tucked away as a tiny dot of light that you can come back to whenever you want. You can let it get as big as you want whenever you want again. You know that it's tucked away inside you for safekeeping. And now bring your attention back to your breath again. Bring your attention back to where you're supported. Maybe you can wiggle your fingers and your toes a little bit. Maybe you want to twist your body to the right and left if that feels right for you. One last inhale and exhale. And when you're ready, you can slowly and gently open your eyes. How do you feel, Claudia?
I feel really good. It's interesting. I don't even like winter, but I was imagining myself Christmas time, and it was a dark room, like really the light had already gone. It was really dark. And there was a candle somewhere. So it was pretty much dark. The colors had all faded. And I was reading a book. So that's something, I mean, I can read really well my small print, but if it's really dark, that's when things get challenging. So I was like reading that, like almost like as a kid under the covers in
Hmm.
a pretty much dim light. Like there was a candle. I was like all Christmassy, but it was dark.
What was
Yeah,
the emotion?
that was wonderful. So, and I felt it like in my head, like in my eyes and my jaw. So that was really beautiful.
Okay.
The feeling was
Okay.
peace for me, was peace. So,
Peace. Okay, wonderful. And then so everyone can rate whatever you rated beforehand, rate it again out of 10 and just notice if you had a little bit of a reduction in intensity. Usually I see this with pain people. I will see, some people their pain goes from like an 8 to a 4, sometimes 6 to 0. Like sometimes people their pain is totally gone with this experience. But what I would hope that people would notice is a little reduction, even if you feel a little bit more calm afterwards. That is the purpose of it. You are creating safety in your body and sending a signal to your mind as well that things are safe. And that's the beginning of rewiring and reprogramming your brain. So you can do this. Everyone can do this. Definitely more calm. Excellent. I like to hear that. Wonderful.
well, this was absolutely amazing. So I recommend everybody get your book. And is it like the bonuses? Is it a physical? Is it when you get the physical book, or does it matter if you get the Kindle, or is it matter how you buy it? No, there's so
This week it's the physical book. So the link that you have, Claudia, would
I
take you
posted
there.
that.
And then basically you come back to the page and just put in your name, email address, receipt number, and where you bought the book. And then you'll automatically get registered for the Pain to Peace Challenge, and you'll get an email with links to download those other gifts.
Great. That sounds absolutely perfect. Well, thank you so much. And we're also people, you have a website. We
Yep.
posted all that in the show notes, but you really quickly, it's called, what is the website? You want to tell us again?
TheWellnessEngineer.com.
TheWellnessEngineer.com. Well, thank you so much, Jane. I'm so blessed that you are here today and learning because, and it's so interesting how connected pain and blurry vision is. And I'm sure many of your people have improved their vision. So maybe, even notice that and see if they have vision improvement. We definitely hear a lot of pain has been gone, like headaches or ocular migraines or actually pain migraines. I get that a lot from people that are doing my course, and I'm sure you will have
Yeah.
more of the vision improvement stories too.
And not only that, Claudia, I mean, every aspect of people's lives tends to improve. Their relationships improve. They feel more abundant, and they get more abundance in their lives. I mean, everything is connected, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I've seen, and it's truly wonderful.
And I would say just to finish off, so a lot of times, people wait with vision till it's pretty bad. I think with pain, like we are more driven to do something about it. So my people are like, oh, my pain not gone. I haven't had a migraine in like 3 months versus your people might not be as aware, especially if they wear glasses all the time or contacts. They might not even be aware. But I encourage all of Jane's, members to notice if their vision improved because I'm 100% sure that what you do, Jane, will also work for vision and making it better. So thank you so much.
Thank you,
Explaining all
Claudia.
this. I love your blueprint and your book is a beautiful book, and you get all these bonuses when you purchase this week. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And now we have our little discussion with the Clear Vision Club. So subscribe, follow Jane everywhere. Subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on amazing talks like this one with Jane Hogan. So, okay.